Brazil is going to crush Norway if they do that in this match. And obviously, we're not expecting an easy match for several reasons, right? The first reason, obviously, is because of the way Norway has been playing both in the qualifiers and in this World Cup. Another reason is simply having one of the best, maybe the best striker in the world on their team, Erling Braut Haaland, who already has 5 goals in this World Cup and has been intimidating the opponents. But I can assure you that this video will convince you otherwise and that Brazil has a chance to win this game, maybe even comfortably. You with me? But first of all, leave a like on this video, of course subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our World Cup content, the amazing coverage we've been doing here. Well, before we start talking specifically about Sunday's match, let's have a little therapy session here in this video. Shall we talk about the Brazilian team's fears of facing the Vikings, the rowers? Well, the big fear that Brazilian fans, especially the older ones, have regarding Norway is tied to the head-to-head records. Norway in the history of soccer is the only team that has faced Brazil more than once and never lost. There have been 4 matches between these two teams in the history of soccer, with 2 draws and 2 victories for Norway. Out of those 4, 1 happened in the World Cup, more specifically back in 1998, still in the group stage. But even so, it was a defeat that left very clear marks to this day, right? The Norwegian national team came from behind to defeat Brazil 2-1 in the group stage, a match we still remember well today. Older fans especially remember that day very well, and of course there's that stigma that Brazil has never beaten Norway, and obviously they need to win to advance in this World Cup. So once again, that fear comes back, that terror of the Norwegians. And this terror is even greater because of Haaland. As we mentioned here, he's by far the main player on their team, which makes things much more difficult. The difference is 60 goals in 53 matches for the national team. For a 25-year-old player, that's a lot. Those are extremely high numbers. Anyway, Haaland has a lot of different strengths. But even so, we also have to keep in mind that Haaland is a one-man army. Haaland scored 5 out of the 9 goals in the games where Norway played with him on the field. So yes, obviously Norway depends a lot on Haaland's goals and his brilliance. They have other strengths, but as a team they're clearly weaker than Japan. Let's compare the two teams and look at the tactics board. The Norwegian team,
they're already a slightly more open team. They play in the 4-3-3, the classic basic setup, right? The 4-3-3 there, with 4 in the back line, 2 more defensive midfielders, a playmaker, and 3 forwards. The big difference here compared to the basic 4-3 is on this right wing. The one who plays here is a center forward. It's Sørloth, an Atletico de Madrid player. He's a tough guy, a big guy, but he's the one who plays down this channel here. He also comes back to help. He's a player who has a bit more grit, a bit more determination, especially since he's not a very refined player. We'll talk more about that later on as well. On the left side, the one who plays is Antonio Nusa, who is the only player on this team with one-on-one ability, with dribbling skills. So usually the plays are built on the left side, and that's exactly what we saw in the Norwegian national team's game with 16 targets. So he's the guy who takes responsibility for dribbling, takes responsibility for creating plays, and the Norwegian national team's defensive transition happens very quickly. It's a team that actually plays a lot with clearances, really, with long balls forward. So naturally, when the ball travels, it's always reaching that area between Haaland and Sørloth to flick it on, and maybe the other one can get a touch and finish it into the back of the net. On the defensive side, they have fullbacks who don't support the attack that much. Pedersen is playing now after the issue that Harrison had. And also on the left side, as we mentioned, Müller-Wolf. He's a guy who gets forward. He supports even more than Pedersen. And in defense, they have 2 players who are tall, right? They're tougher players who have trouble playing the ball out from the back, both Ayer and Müller or Hagen. But even so, it's a team that really likes to make this transition. The midfield is also a key area here. Usually the number 5 is Sander Berg. He's an undisputed starter for the team, but the number 8 position changes a lot. Ståle Bakken, who is the coach of the Norwegian national team, is a guy who likes to vary, who plays in that position. And that also depends on the circumstances of the game. If they need to attack, if they're at a disadvantage and need to score, Odegaard drops back to this position and they put more attacking players up front. It could be Kjell Dreyer, it could also be Asker Bob. They have several options. But it's a team that, although tactically somewhat organized, doesn't have the same organization, for example, as the Japanese national team. And they should give up more space, which we're going to talk about now, about how Brazil can take advantage, about how Brazil can exploit these possible mistakes and spaces from Norway.
And I'll tell you why. On the right side of the Brazilian team's attack, we should have Ryan as a starter once again, even though Rafinha has returned to training, but there's no confirmation that he'll be in the starting lineup, at least not until the recording of this video. He will face Mola Wolf, Norway's left back, in many one-on-one confrontations. And he won't have much support because Antonio Nusa, who is Norway's left winger, doesn't really have the ability or the condition to come back and defend. He's a guy who, at the very least, really avoids that job of tracking back. So Rayan will always be one-on-one, and that's a very strong characteristic of his. We'll likely see many one-on-one situations for the Brazilian wingers, and pressing will be crucial, as pushing up will make it hard for Norway to get out. The centre-backs, Ayer and Regan, they don't have that characteristic of playing out with quick passes and combinations. They're the typical Nordic centre-backs, tall, tough, a bit clumsy with the ball. So that's also why Norway tends to play by sending long balls into their attacking half. Antelolo Ancelotti, I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but I'm sure you're studying for this match. So my friend, get the tactics right because Brazil really needs and wants this win too. Did you like this video? Subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any updates. And of course, if Brazil advances, and we're all rooting for that, we'll be back for the quarterfinals to bring you the tactics of Brazil's next opponent. It could be England, it could be Mexico, but of course, we're already looking into both possibilities. And we're also ready to beat whoever comes our way, okay? Go Brazil. Let's do this together.